Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for you got it, Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel, I like to dive deep with see what they did. It's again, I feel like this person, believe it or not, has a lot of anxiety. They're not, because again, they're not strong within themselves. And I feel like they create a lot of um, like facades, personas. And they do this by being inconsistent, coming in and out of your life. So I think that part of you was like, are you cheating? Are you talking to somebody else? Like, why are you coming into my life and out? And I think it's a control mechanism. It's a control tactic, rather. It's intermittent manipulation where a person just weaves in and out of your life and they try to cut down your sense of stability within the connection. It's a way of constraining you. It's a way of, where this only works if you're not aware. And I think that in the beginning of the relationship, you weren't aware. Let's face it. Like, yeah, that's wrong connection to this person, but they were very caught up in their ego. Now, remember, it also, for a person like this that cares a lot about appearance, they want to seem as if they're desired. They want to seem as if, they're that you really, that not just you, but anybody that they would have feelings for is really into them. They care a lot about what things look like. I'm like missing a deck of cards. I'm like, I don't know where they went. Maybe I'm not supposed to use that deck. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay. All right. Well, we won't use that deck. That's weird. We're going to pull from a little bit of a different deck to look at, actually look at more of the love cards. What is the reason for this connection? Let's mix it up a little bit, only because it's fun. I'm trying to understand how my thoughts create my reality. I know I need to stay positive. Are you? So again, you are someone that definitely triggers this connect. You're someone that triggers this person. Hey, Margaret. I need to move slowly with this, but trust me that I'm moving, even when it seems that I'm not. So what I see here then is that this person cares a lot about what things look like. They weaved in and out of your life in order to have control over you, and if you are someone that had a low self-esteem, that would have worked. That didn't work. You separated from this person. And I feel like they're realizing it, that they're the person that made this situation happen. And it's like, and I do believe they're in a place of healing. And I say that because it's like they're realizing that it's their own thoughts. It's themselves. That's the problem. I'm realizing this connection is something special and worth treasuring. You might be like, they don't act like it. Well, they're in separation from you. It looks like they're not doing anything. Remember, it says, it looks like it looks like I'm not really doing anything, but they are. And it's because I think that they're healing, they're processing. And part of healing and processing is that for some of you, this person was connected to somebody else, a karmic, and they really couldn't be with you until they got rid of that person. And they say it like that because it's like, as long as this other person is in their life, they know it's hard for you, but they have to go through the experience in order to heal it. So again, it's not something that they want to be with, the person that they want to be with. And we've been getting that a lot lately. And understand what you say, well, what makes them want to be with me opposed to that person? Well, I feel like that's a karmic, and the karmic person, there's always expectations. There's always, ownership. The person is going to bind them to a place of, whatever the childhood trauma is, which is guilt. It's any energy that keeps them bound to a lower energy. But They long for your kisses and touch. So again, there's this passion, which is always why. Why else would a person even be considered? Understand with the karmic, like these connections usually, when it's this past life negative karmic connection, they start off as real hot, real heavy, and then what happens is they die really fast because it's just built on lust. It's like you and this person aren't even in connection. They're connected to somebody else. They don't want to be with that someone else. But again, the codependency, they're feeling guilt, they don't know what their worth is, whatever the spiritual lesson is that they need to learn. Understand they would never learn it unless there was an incentive to learn it. And what that is the passion. But what they know is that it's, again, the inner child needs to come first. The healing needs to come first. Otherwise, this person wouldn't do it. And also the other factor is they feel you pulling away. And it triggers them that you're going to leave them for good. Like eventually, that self-fulfilling prophecy that you're not going to be around is what they're making it happen. So do they want that to happen? No, they're being forced. They don't really want to make a decision to get away from that person. And it's not because it's love. It's because it's laziness. It's easier. It's that the other person's going to give them a headache. So it's, again, I'm afraid you're going to meet someone else before I'm ready to be with you for good. And that's because they are trying to like do everything the right way. Like, that means I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. I don't want to hurt your person's feelings. I don't want to hurt my person's feelings. And guess what? Because they care about everyone's feelings, everybody gets hurt. And that's going to be the spiritual lesson that they learn, because it's like they know that it's taking time, and it's almost like their acceptance that you wait. They feel like the situation is being caused by the both of you, where it's like you're not being patient with them. Like you might know that there's somebody else in their life that they don't want to be with, or that they're dealing with a karmic situation that they don't want to be in. And you're like, I don't want to be with you until you get done with that situation. But in their mind, they think that the situation is being caused by both of you, but it's not. You're holding to a standard. You're holding to a boundary, which, by the way, is what they were trying to make sure that you didn't do in the beginning of this connection when you first met them. Is, again, it's only because they've never felt a connection like this before. That's the only reason why. It's like, it's inspiring, but it terrifies them. They wouldn't like even bother they wouldn't, trust me, this is a hard connection. It's, again, and they have to leave that karmic. You think that they want to have to deal with that? There's obviously going to be karmic consequences. They're afraid for a reason. It's like, it's not easy. Healing doesn't feel good, but it would take like a passionate like connection for this person to even bother to leave. I'm saying they wouldn't bother. They're listening to their higher self now, which is the whole point of that type of connection, where spirit says your job is to bring them back to me, which is just unconditional love. And that means that they would have to surrender their ego. What we saw in the beginning is that they wanted to get in, couldn't get out of their way. We didn't go into all the whys this time as I normally do, because it's like, it doesn't even matter. We like, what they're looking at is how do you feel now, and what is the whole spiritual significance of the connection. And really, spirit says you incarnated the clear specific patterns from your ancestral bloodline. And so this person triggers you, and it's the reactions, and it's the habits and behaviorism. So again, codependency. It's also not holding boundaries. Whatever this person has, if you're their twin, you mirror their energy. So spirit's saying it's like they're going to react the way that you would react, with anxiety, like not feeling as confident, and such. The spirit says, I want to know everything about you, but they hold themselves back from asking. They're afraid they'll get in too deep. It's already too late because it's a twin flame connection. You can't get any deeper. That's why there's a desire to ask questions. So again, whether they want to or not, the universe has a hand in this connection, and is going to make this person surrender their ego, where eventually they'll ask. but they're not going to do it like right away because that's not their natural. What they know is that they need to be strong in who they are before they can merge with your energy in the 3D, which is the whole point of the twin flame relationship. It's like this person it would be a trauma bond. The way that they were going about this connection, it would have been a trauma bond. It's staying connected to like a karmic, pretending that that person's not there or is not existent or making excuses, whatever it is. Spirit saying it's like no, it's keeping them bound to like a lower consciousness, and so they know that they're not strong within themselves. That they know they don't really know who they are. They know that they got into that karmic connection for a reason though, and they don't want to get into another like karmic connection with you, especially because they're like the feelings that I have for you are so overwhelming because they're so deep. What if you're like someone toxic? You know that the karmic's toxic because they're just kind of like existent. Anyone that stays with somebody that, you know, they're not posting about them. They're not like, you know, that like you never see the person out in public with the person. They pretend that they're single. Well, that's disrespectful. It's almost like this person tried to ignore the fact. Like maybe you'll go away if I ignore you, which, you know, is ridiculous. Maybe I can get you to dump me so I don't have to feel bad. But then again, it's like showing how weak they are and how easily manipulated they are then. And so really it's like they know that they're not strong and that they have to like get like become stronger in themselves. Otherwise, like, what if that's, you're a crazy person? But because of you, they're starting to see what is really important in life. And I think it's the fact that when you're with the karmic and there's no real love in the day, you can live. It's not like you don't have good experiences, but those experiences are about then going out and buying things or experiencing things, but it's not about the deep, intimate connection where this person actually feels like they can have that. They didn't feel like they could have that. There's a reason why they were with that karmic. It felt comfortable. It felt normal for a very long time. That meant the person was detached and disassociated, and that comes from again detachment issues. So something traumatic happened a long time ago, and obviously that person was more like a trauma bond, that attachment, because I feel like the person came into their life and they never learned the spiritual lesson, like to set appropriate boundaries, to really end it, to really, they were always guilted and manipulated and worn down. So again, the twin flame connection is really the only thing that would, transmute this energy through the passion of fire, which that's all you see all over this reading, is really that is the one thing that this person knows for sure is again, they need to wait for divine timing. You see, it's like time of healing our wounds and created the perfect conditions for our reunion. Very twin flamey. I mean, it's like that a lot of healings going on in separation. And that's really that, both parties were taught that love was conditional. That's really what you're seeing. It's like, so the universe says, well, I'm going to bring your twin to you, and you're going to learn that love is actually unconditional, that you don't have any control, that this person is going to piss you off, but you're still going to feel like home. They're still going to feel like, and there's still going to be this spiritual connection that you can't do anything about. It's like you're going to learn how to step into a better version of yourself. If you want this person to follow suit, you have to become, exactly what you want. And that's really, it's again, this person feels insecure and it's pushing them to grow. Understand, healing doesn't feel good. That's why they're in separation. That's why Spirit said you did the right thing by not being invested in this person. It's like, because now it's forcing them to get out of their situation and maybe making them move their ass a little faster, even though we know that they're turtle slow, but they're turtle slow because they're insecure. But it's still pushing them to do the right thing. So Spirit says it might seem slow to you, but it's divine timing, which means that you're actually supposed to be doing healing and separation too, not just this person. So we just happen to be looking at this person right now. We're going to be looking at you in a second. So we're really Spirit saying that insecure, and they want to let their guard down with you, but fear makes them lash out in self-defense, that they're afraid. Hey, Siska. And then surrender brings us together faster than resilience. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. But I think all these things this person is, working through. But and understand they are tempted also to let go, as you are, because the relationship is hard. It's like, yes, we have a strong soul connection. We have this strong bond. I can't control it. But the relationship is difficult. It makes you grow. It makes you do things that you don't want to do. And so Spirit is saying, don't be tempted to disconnect from source. Really, your connection to source is the love and healing that you require for reunion. Again, twin flame connection. The energy of source. That's the energy of the universe. In the situations and the experience to help you heal. Be patient. Have faith. Be in that space of faith. And that's hard. It's like, but Spirit, like, because you'll be like, I don't want to deal with it. The person's a fucking pain in the ass. I don't want to deal with it. It doesn't need to be this hard. I don't want to deal with it. And Spirit says, yeah, 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 yeah. But there's still unconditional love. And so you can do it, but you'll cut your nose off to spite your face, So it's you don't change the person, you change yourself, is what Spirit's saying. It's like, this is a soul twin flame connection. They're just holding up the mirror. And it's like, no one should be able to trigger you like this. There is love, there is passion, that there's that passion to help transmute that energy. No one would stick around long enough, like I said. I'm triggered and old patterns has surfaced and it hurts. Well, God says that's the whole point. They wouldn't volunteer to do this work, either would you. You'd be like, I don't want to deal with this. And Spirit says, yeah, but it's blocking you. And it's blocking you from me, from perceiving that you're separate from love. It's creating a shadow. And that's affecting your abundance. That's affecting your level to attract love. That's what's happening with this person. It's like the triggers come up, they don't like it, but they have no control, because it's like they have feelings. Like I said, they don't like it. It's like there's a lot of different emotions. That's why Spirit says, don't tap in, because you might tap in and you might feel the person angry sometimes and other times happy. It's like crazy, because they're working through those traumas. That's why it says love makes you crazy. Really, love doesn't make you crazy. The fact that this person has so many wounds and they have to work through them, because there's love, they have no control over that. Because the divine says enough is enough. Enough is enough. You're down here to understand that you're not separate from me, which is God, which is love, which is the universe. And look what you're doing. You're out of alignment. It's like, again, so it's bringing a situation, but past lives are influencing this connection. Of course, it's a twin flame connection, but it's like, and this person lost you in a lifetime. So again, that's why there's anxiety, because they're like, I'm going to lose you again. And that makes me afraid. I need to heal the grief to allow the love to bloom. Yes, because God's saying, it's like, here we go again. This is a past life connection. They have the opportunity to step up into that twin flame connection. Doesn't mean it's easy. They got to work through all the stuff that they've been running from for many lifetimes. And here you are again, like, here we are again. I have no expectation of you, because you know what? You haven't really shown up in the past couple of lifetimes. And Spirit says, this is good that you don't have expectation at this point. Maybe in a past lifetime, you were like, no, you have to do it this way. Now you're like, fuck you, I don't care. And this person, again, that gives them room for them to actually do what they need to do, because the same divine energy flows in each of you. This energy is a catalyst to your reunion. Again, twin flame connection, where Spirit says love. It's teaching you both love. And that happens again where you didn't feel that way, you brought up, or you dated somebody, or you did something, someone that was close to you, you know, made it difficult. So that's really what spirit is saying with that. Because how would you heal? Well, the universe will bring you the people, and twin flame connection is that spirit says, well, you've done enough healing and you've done enough work now that you gotta, you wouldn't be able to heal the rest on your own, because you didn't learn trust. You learn betrayal from my first person. You learn to have a closed heart. Is all the higher level. It's not easy because the ego gets involved or there. It's the fact that the person there is a deep connection. There's a love like that. So as horrible as it can be, it's as great as it can be, but it'll drive me crazy. And spirit says it's not for the weary at all. So we have to say, well, again, what was the whole point why this person is in your life? Because we see why it clearly what's going on in their life. We see that they're fragmented. You're with somebody else, pretending that you're not, that now you again figuring to try and get out, but you realize that you have no real identity, that you're not a strong person, and you're afraid that you're gonna wind up getting back into the same type of connection that you were just in. So it's again forcing you to do the healing. Okay, we see that. And we also see how the universe is really like trying to manipulate this person too. Like again, the past lives are triggering, person seeing signs and synchronicities. Vulnerability, you weren't allowed to be vulnerable. Naive. Water. Time and attention. Source. Hey, you're pulling not horrible cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But understand there's only 2 energies. Well, belittled isn't great. But there's only 2 energies, love and fear. And so when, I feel like you grew up with a parent that was like an overachiever. They were someone that worked really hard, and they, that like did everything kind of like perfect and were very like mindful, but they didn't seem to have much fun. I feel like they didn't do well in their relationships. They did well within work, but they didn't do well in their relationships. So this person like avoided their problems by again always being at work, and they didn't give you the time and the attention. And when by the time that they were around you, I feel like they didn't have patience. They weren't taking any free time to feed a passion or to, find them or anything. It was just work, 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 and then home, and then you. And so, of course, like this person, like is an overachiever, and I feel like they would belittle you. They would make you feel like there was like you were inadequate almost, even though you weren't inadequate. And this person didn't really even mean to do that. It's just that they were tired and they emotionally weren't getting what they needed. So again, that affected your hi Melissa and RS7. And then like again, the water element is who you perceive you are. That second chakra is your individuality, your passion for life. It's your emotional center. It's got to be able to go with the flow. You got to be able to go with the flow of life. It's again the passion for life. So there was part of your identity that you again didn't create. You live safe because hey, like this parent was, wanted big things for you. You knew that. It's just the way that they went about it was kind of like harsh. So it affected that second chakra, your individuality, who you perceive that you are. And so, I think for a long time you thought people loved the way that you loved, meaning like, well, when you love someone, this is how you act. And so you had to perceive. So it's again, there was a bit of that you were naive. And you were also taught by that parent not to be vulnerable, like not to be like safe. It wasn't safe to like wear your heart on your sleeve. It wasn't safe because that parent was like, no, you need to focus on your grades. No, you need to focus on, whatever it was that you were like, that's really not what I want to focus on. But so spirit says that trauma when you're a kid and you're just like, I feel inadequate and I feel like not good enough. Again, if the parents belittling you, your self-esteem is time and attention that parent or again whoever is support is not really fulfilling you and yourself. The time and attention is how you reparent yourself, and the time and attention is obviously to make yourself feel again have confidence, because when you're belittled you were in an environment where you didn't have confidence, so it affected like that second chakra. That's the passion, but sexuality, it's birthing, the birthing center. So again, how do you do that? Through birthing something. What does the twin flame people do together? They birth something together, something that they love, something they pour their energy into. Well, again, I'm just explaining how you would reparent, and that's really what this is getting set up for. That spirit says first and foremost, you give your time and your attention to yourself, where again, and you put yourself into a different environment that's going to show you a different version of yourself. And how is that? Because you meet different people. And again, when it's like you're invested in things that you're interested in and you know about it, you're connected with like-minded people and that are not going to belittle you and put you down and make you feel like you're unworthy, and understand parent might have not even made you feel that way, but then you dated someone that did make you purposely do that because they weren't getting their way. So, but the original trauma came from the inner child. But then again, even if you had a parent that was so loving and kind, and then the first relationship that you had, a person did this, you were naive. You thought again, everyone's gonna be like me. So the lack of experience, of thinking, well, that you could be vulnerable because you were vulnerable with your family and coming in and just giving it all the way, saying, this is what it's like. This, my parents showed me what love is, and doing all that for a person that hasn't earned it. So again, is another reason, because it's a second chakra imbalance. Either you did too much or you did nothing at all, is what Spirit's saying. It's like, and you would have did just the right amount if you were, again, in that second chakra, your individuality, because you would be invested in other areas of your life, other passions in life. You would be more balanced. That's, again, your choice of focus. Again, when you're pouring into yourself, which is what Spirit's saying that you need to do now, give yourself the time and attention to heal that on your own, but you're healing it through creating yourself. That water element is, I'm giving myself the emotional fulfillment. I'm pouring my cup up all the way. That's what keeps me balanced. It keeps me balanced because I'm at such a high vibration, it doesn't matter what you do. That's why Spirit says. It also makes you feel good about yourself when you're connected to people through the heart. And you can do that if you're, again, invested in the things that you love. That you were trying to get the time and the attention to someone that didn't earn it, assuming they would be like you. They weren't. Again, but you have a good connection to Source because, again, when you didn't feel comfortable growing up, or when you were around that person that traumatized you, you got a better connection to Source. Or you might just be intuitive. But again, going through the traumatic experience will make you more sensitive on top of it. So again, a better connection to Source. And so then Spirit says, through that, you're able to give yourself the time and attention to reparent yourself, to again empowered soul, which is to acknowledge what you have already overcome in your life, and to realize like you're worthy, you're strong, that you're not like to give yourself accolades, because it's like you look what you put up with. I mean, if you made it to twin flame connection, well, guess what? You're ready to like break family karma. That's what spirit's saying. Because hey, we got into this situation because of the family karma. That's why you have those deep wounds. That's why the universe says, well, I have to bring a twin flame, your other half, because the way that you learned how to survive in childhood was not to be in the creative mode. It looks like you learned how to be more again through that logical, analytical, like again, facts. So school you did good, but then hey, there's a lack of connection to emotionally. I don't get the connections. I could do well work, and then spirit says, "See the family karma? You see, that's the same thing as that parent of yours." And you're like, "Yeah, I know. I'm going to go in the same direction, and I don't want to." And spirit says, "No, you can break that karma, but." I have to bring in your twin. So you have to do a certain amount of work where your ancestors didn't do the work. They didn't want to. And where spirit's saying, yeah, but look, you can achieve it, because acknowledge what you've already done for yourself. Hey, come see. And so it's about rising above, see beyond your immediate fears to get more insight. So again, it's about elevating your perspective, is really spirit saying. What do we do when we elevate the perspective? We're seeing things through the lens of unconditional love. We're not seeing things through our ego. It's again evolving into a higher state of consciousness, realizing that only the universe's energy is perfect, that we're not perfect. We're learning how to be perfect. We're learning. Again, we can shoot for excellence. Spirit says, but we'll never be perfect because not everyone's going to love us, but it doesn't matter. When we rise above, we're actually seeing things from a new perspective. But again, the perspective is through love, which the twin flame makes us do. We don't want to do it, though. A lot of times, understand there's a little bit like, I don't want to like you, because the ego is like, no, they deserve. Look what they did. We can justify it. It's like, no, look what that person did. That person deserves like punishment. And then spirit says, but love doesn't hold the score. And it's like, yeah, but they still did it. And then spirit says, but you didn't learn forgiveness. It's like this is a problem because it triggered you. So it's more about you being triggered at that point. Spirit says, in order for you to shape shift the energy, you got to look at the triggers. And it's first and foremost to be like, you're not the same person. So know that. So again, you've learned. So don't respond and react the same way that you used to, in that unhealed way. Because, infinite possibilities. That's why spirit says boundless opportunities arise when you release fear, which is just negativity. Fulfill your promise to yourself that you're loved. Your life. I deserve love. I deserve to be abundant. I deserve the promises that you make to yourself, and they will come. Your healing will come through these new opportunities, because you wouldn't see yourself differently any other way until you're being put into a new situation with new people. And so understand, yes, you will lose people in the process, but by you again losing people, you gain new people, you change, because people are treating you differently, because they perceive you differently, you are differently. That automatically makes this person treat you differently. You're not manipulating anything. The unconditional love is still there. The only difference is you're making this person do the work, because you're not saying, let me come in and fix it for you. Again, no. That's what mom did. That's what other people did. And guess what? They were abandoned, because spirit says, you abandon yourself. It's again that you shouldn't have to do that for a person. They'll want you to do that. They'll emotionally manipulate. They'll come on and they'll make you perceive, but it's not real. It's again where when you're in these opportunities and understand it means that you've passed certain karma, that you've done that. You've gained the deep wisdom already. And the deep wisdom, again, is just that you're not separate from love, to be the expression of love. That when you forgive and you let go, it allows new opportunities and situations to arise, that you don't need to hold on to anger, that you don't need to hold on onto it. And that, this is all like transfer. It's all built for your transformation. That's really what Spirit is saying. All these cards are going the opposite ways, is what I'm noticing. I'm like, all right, maybe like I'm going to pull just one more. See, I go to turn it over and it's the back of the card. So I'm like, okay. And whereas again, like Spirit's just saying right now, wants you to follow your passion, be in the energy of passion so that you can tribe. Because like this person's going to come back into your life, but you don't want to give too much to this person. See, it's not that there's not love. There is unconditional love. But if you don't have other passions in your life, you're going to give too much to this person. Where Spirit's saying you have to train the person, and you're training the person because they were trained wrong. And their environment, our environment trains us through what we perceive we can have. And so the person would not heal. The unconditional love makes them heal. They don't want to do the healing. You're making them do the healing. But if you didn't have other things in your life, you don't think that this person emotionally would manipulate you into having them do absolutely nothing. It's human nature. You're like, I know, and that's what I'm afraid of. And Spirit says, yeah, exactly. So where are your boundaries? Boundaries come from, again, like having other choices of focus. It's again because this person isn't going to like everything that you do. They're not. And you can't accommodate them because you have to accommodate yourself. So sometimes when you're on the twin flame journey, the person's still going to play their little games, that they're defense mechanisms. So you have to be emotionally strong enough, because emotionally, guess what? You didn't get nothing growing up. Lesson, and that's the fuckery, because it's like, well, the twin flame we have, but this is the way that they're going to treat me. And Spirit says, oh, you thought you were going to get your emotional fulfillment from them. Oh, no. And you say, well, wait a minute, but I never got that. I never get that. I never get that. Why don't I ever get that? And Spirit says, because you think you need it. It's about you giving it to yourself. You have to train that person anyway. What ammunition do you have? They're gonna you think that they're gonna make it easy on you? Oh no, Spirit says no, they're not. That's the whole point of the twin flame relationship, that you want to rip the person's head off their shoulders, because they're gonna trigger you. Because the Spirit says that needs to come out. It's like it allows it like it shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be able to irritate you like that. But you can heal it. So again, and when you heal it, you don't need them to really do anything. And guess what? Then there's no expectation of them, and they just do it. Spirit says it's like magic, because real twin flame love is unconditional. There is no ownership. There is no expectation. However, two parties have big egos because it's defense mechanisms from what they were taught. So it's like not an easy connection. It's one that's going to trigger, and Spirit says, but you're not going to have control. So in the separation, Spirit's saying, again, you're aligning your actions with your values. You're more spiritual. Again, so it's about connecting with other people and other things. So when this person comes back into your life, you can teach them. And again, you're not always there. So they don't feel like the obligation of being a certain way or acting a certain way or having it fall into a rut of every day. Because guess what? The comfortability that you may say, well, I really like the comfortability, it scares the shit out of this person, because They grew up in an environment where the shoe was always about to drop. And you're like, so did I, but I want that comfort. Yes, both parties grew up in the same environment, but unfortunately, you don't have the same attachment styles. So, what winds up happening is the way that both people deal with their situations is usually a little bit differently. And it's like that's why their strengths are different. That's why their gifts are different, Spirit says. And that's what the twin flame comes into your life because you're like, oh, this part of me doesn't work. It's like it's broken. The spirit says there's no such thing as broken. You put your shirt on like a pair of pants, it looks wrong. It's like it's not supposed to go that way. It's again, there's many different ways. Try something different. I can't see anything different. Guess what? This person's gonna come in, they're gonna show you a whole different way of thinking, a whole different way of being. And guess what? They're not even going to be sure that it even makes sense, but they're going to crave it. They're going to love it, but they're also going to be like, it doesn't really make sense. And their brain is going to say, you're not really my type. I don't really even go for this, but I find you very incredibly attractive. But, and their mind is going to look for all the reasons why the relationship shouldn't work out. Because again, they're afraid because the relationship makes them go deep, makes them think about themselves again. And it's one that the higher self, the God part of self says, yeah, this person's going to make it work. Guess what? They're going to make you do a lot of work. No one volunteers for that. Yeah, they gave me work. Let me feel like shit a lot of the times. It'll trigger me. I just love that. No one signs up for that. So again, it's almost like, but the higher self knows, and that's through claircognizance, which is, I don't know how I know, I just know. And that's the twin flame like conversations that they have in the astral realm when they're not even talking. It's like, I don't know how I know that person's like pissed off, or I don't know how I know that they're thinking, because their energy doesn't never, you can't ever destroy it. That's why both parties learn to surrender. And what does surrender do? It brings us back to a place of spiritual where we're balanced, we're open to receiving. The ego doesn't do that. The ego, like again, will make, and that's because of all those past experiences. So when they say, well, you got to walk through the fire, you got to walk through the fear, like you can't avoid it. Well, it's again, spirit and the universe brings us those things that makes us want to walk through the fire. The twin flame relationship, it's like after a while, you surrender and you say, fuck it. I'm just going to walk through the fire. What do I have to lose? Because I'm more miserable being in separation from this person than actually dealing with the actual healing. And spirit says, exactly. Because by denying yourself, your twin flame, you're denying yourself the unconditional love, which you're denying yourself because you have those wounds that you need to heal. So that's what it is. I feel like you might not have met your twin flame yet. It's like, and not all the time in every lifetime does everybody meet their twin flame. No, I mean, sometimes it's just a lot of karmic mates, sometimes it's soulmate. But if you have severe trauma, and that trauma, let's just say, you were brought up in an environment where there was such severe trauma, like you had like a rip roaring alcohol, like you had a mother that was crazy, picked up a kerosene heater when it was on with her bare hands, smashed. By the way, I grew up, my mother was mentally crazy, and my father had cancer 9 times, sickless to sick. So I didn't learn in school because I was, again, paying more attention to the way that the teacher stood, again, the tone of voice, because growing up in my house, you had to pay more attention to those. When my mother drank, you could actually watch her mood change. So you knew, oh, she's in the happy phase. In a half an hour, she's going to start crying. And then you got about 45 minutes before she starts smashing tables and, raging, just raging. And that terror when you're a child and you can't run away, you disassociate. It's like you have to deal with it because you're dependent on that person, so you check out. So the survival mechanism for me was to be here but not, to be disassociated, detached. And you know who I always pull to me? People that are really smart, really logical, and I am not a logical person at all. Like I do what I feel. That person, I wind up with people that don't take in their feelings or their emotions. So it's again, it creates the same dynamic, it creates the same. But guess what? That the people that I connect to have just as bad severe. I dated one person that the father shot himself in the head and he found him. I met somebody else that the mother died in a car accident because the parents were fighting, and every other day the mother was walking around with a black eye. So it's again like the kids grew up in that same traumatic environment. So it was, how did the children learn to survive? I learned to survive by going into myself and my imagination, and and again more creative, more intuitive. But I wind up with people that again are brilliant in school but have no personality at all, usually. Like it's like, or they tend to be more reserved, more, and so it balances out the energy. It means that you grew up to where you have more feminine energy opposed to masculine energy. Like I need more masculine energy, where masculine is grounding. It's to work with the money and the physical elements of the physical world. That's what it represents. So so the twin flame is that brings in, if you're creative and intuitive and you learn how to survive through your imagination and your friends and your creativity, or did you learn to stick your nose in a book and you became very smart, or you escaped through building things and doing things, so you're very grounded, like you don't think about the healing aspect. What that is that's a polar opposite. And so again, this person's going to definitely create triggers, and again, a lot of this cognitive dissonance, which is I want it but I don't, and that's because of the wound. So again, you really learn unconditional love through that. Oh, it's okay. Like, it all brought me to my path. My grandfather fought in World War II. I mean, he was a good man. He fought World War II, and he was captain of the New York City Fire Department. But he learned how to deal with stress through drinking and and he had rage. But he was a good man. So, but they didn't have any healing antidotes back then. They sent the people off to war. Go to war. What do you think you're gonna feel normal about shooting somebody or walking out and seeing, God forbid, a head or a hand, or like to see dead people in the street? I mean, that's traumatizing. It's like afraid. What fear does, what it does, it messes up the mind. It's like, oh, you didn't see it. These men came back and they were like, okay, you can go back and go about your merry way. Well, certain cultures teach, of that, no, you have to be like this. No, you have to be like that. That's traumatic. So there's a lot of, things in our world that create trauma, but there was no healing back then. I mean, look, my dad had cancer 9 times. That's not normal. But you know what? How you manifest through the thoughts that you think, the emotions that you have. He had cancer. He knew what that felt like. He knew what that was. He was terrified of it. But no one ever said, hey, listen, you got to change your diet. You got to change, or ever got to the root. He avoided it. He suppressed his emotions. He drank. He was an alcoholic. He was an avoidant. He was a good man, though. And he was a brilliant man. He skipped grades in school. A brilliant man, and the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. He wasn't nice to himself. My mother, on the other hand, was not a nice person. She was, again, his polar opposite. So it was a trauma bond connection where my father felt he had to, and so there's many relationships when a person doesn't know their worth, what happens. And so I grew up in that type of environment, and I learned firsthand of what creates it. My parents were my greatest teacher. at the end of the day. Yeah, see, I mean, like that's what it is. It's like absolutely. I was four. Nobody ever came to your family or neighbors. Nobody came to help. Right, and everybody looks the other way. Like when you grow up in an environment like that, you weren't allowed to talk about it. You weren't allowed, and there was no help. So I mean, now slowly, but slowly, but slowly, but I mean, every race, every religion, everything has been persecuted, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, whether you're this, whether you're that, whether you're heavy, whether you're skinny, whether like I mean, people have a problem for everything. And if you're not strong within yourself and you don't have strong roots, which our parents and our ancestors they didn't look what they had to deal with. Look where they were. Oh, and you're black. Oh, you don't get to do this. You're from this. You don't get to do that. You don't do this. Again, I'm going to put you in this category from the job that you have. I'm going to put you in this category by how much money you have. I'm going to put, I mean, it's very easy to let the world tell you who you are. And so spiritual healing allows us to clean the doors of our perception, clear them, because the experiences really do like not just shape our life, but our children watch it. We like we don't inherit our parents' behaviorisms because of what they say. It's we copy what they do. We copy how they deal with things. And so a lot of us grew up in environments, if again there was a toxic parent, we said, oh, I don't want to be that one. I'm definitely not going to be that one. I'm going to be this one. But every now and again, a person says, well, I'm going to be this one because they had more power. So it's almost like this fear, and to go into a connection that, that you're fragmented already, you don't have a chance. And like I said, our society likes that. It like makes it easier. It makes us easier to control when we don't have, connections, strong connections. That's our emotional support. We need that. It's part of the spiritual experience. We live in a society that tells us that our emotions are bad. And a lot of times, by the time we deal with our problems, our emotions are like twice as bad because we didn't deal with them. So, no, we're changing that. We've come to a place within our society that we know that we have to do that. We know that there's no president that's going to fix that, that there's no anybody that's going to fix anything, that one day heaven will be on earth through the character of man, that higher self actually gets grounded and come by just being the expression of love. And you can be the expression of love by doing what you love, by giving and receiving of love. And that's where your money comes from. And guess what? If you're abundant, you can go through life a lot happier. Not that money is everything, but you get to go experience new things. And that allows you to see yourself differently, allows you to connect with all different types of people. And guess what? When you get to know all those different types of people, you're not prejudiced anymore because you see the connection, that there's an ignorance in this country, and it's a fear of what we don't know. And we don't know it because we weren't educated to it. And so we've come to a place within our society, and we're all doing the work now. And it's your job to walk in alignment that way so that you can teach your children and every single other person that comes into your life how to be. Really, I mean, that's what it is. But our ancestors, they didn't have a choice. Imagine being a slave, like on a plantation. Imagine that, Tara. Or imagine growing up on a war. Like, just imagine, just like you're a child and you're watching bombs come into place, and you're watching like people. I mean, and they don't have spiritual healing for that. I'm not even talking about people that get cancer and all the other things of every day. We're talking about that kind of stuff. And you don't think that we've come to a place within our society, within our days, that we have to, it's a spiritual war. It's because it's, again, what's happening is little by little by little, we're giving up our spiritual sovereignty and we don't realize it. Because if you don't know, it's like it doesn't matter. Spirit says ignorance is a spiritual disease. It's the most devastating one, because if people knew, they'd say, well, I would do something if I would have known. I didn't know. And of course you didn't know, because it's not like it was educated in school. It wasn't educated to us. It wasn't taught. And it's, if you watch this channel, I feel like you should then walk from that level and be the example, because you'll open up your heart and the people around you will learn to open up their heart. And that's the only way that we're going to heal society. That's the only way, is through ourselves, not through some dumbass that decides to sit in some big White House. Some big White House. You know what I mean? Is whoever wants that job would be a little loony toony to begin with, because who wants to like control a bunch of people? Think about it. It's like it's would really, if everyone was living their best life, there would be no separation, because they'd be like, well, I have food on my table, you have food on your table, you're living a happy life. Do you care whether what somebody else is doing if you're happy? No, you don't give a shit. It's like, and that's the thing. You have people that are not happy, and that's not their reality, but they could be happy. They need to be educated. So again, and that's what our job here is. What we got to your job is to share your knowledge. They may think you're crazy in the beginning, but guess what? After living that way for a certain amount of time, they see the results. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about seeing yourself differently. That's seeing the new consciousness. That's about embodying the new consciousness. That's how you really learn. And Spirit leaves us off with one more message, and that is peace. Be unwavering in the face of fear. Come to your senses and embrace challenges. Notice what it says, come to your senses. Did it say go to your brain? No, it did not. It said come to your senses. Because again, that's how you get discernment. Meaning, I know this again, and that's again what our Spirit says. Be determined to think with gentleness and calm, and find inner silence, and become a manifestation of peace. Again, and you can do that if you are, again, walking your path. If you're, again, like being the energy of love, doing what you love, connecting, finding your tribe. Like I said, Spirit says, getting that emotional fulfillment comes from a lot of different things. When a person tries to give you nothing, fill your cup up all the way. Because that's actually what made this person be like, I'm going to be with you because you don't have any expectations. You can actually, you just love me. You just love me. And at the end of the day, that's what they learn. You're my person. And you're my person because it feels differently. And that's that claircognizance with the clairsentience. The more clairsentience we do, the more claircognizance happens, because the two go hand in hand. I don't know how I knew that. I just knew. And Spirit says, yes, the energy of the universe. And that is how you have discernment. So you're always safe. You're always safe. All right, guys, I'm going to leave that energy with me. I hope that everybody has a better day, and I will be on, might be on later. I'm having a few people over later to do like a few healings. I have a friend that just goes with one bad relationship into another bad relationship, and she was told she was cursed. There's no such thing as curses unless you believe the curse. That's the whole way that a curse believes. Curses are that. Just like a spell is, spelling. So, it's your words. But really, she's convinced herself because her mother didn't have that love, her sister doesn't, and now she doesn't. And she was walking through the flea market, and someone told her, "You have a curse on you." And now she's thinking, I have a curse on me because last night I was with my neighbor, and the neighbor like came over for like a little fun time per se. And then he said that he would be back in an hour and didn't even call her. But it's again, this is something that he likes to do. So again, but it bothered her all night. She couldn't sleep, so she needs a clearing. And it's like, but that's the thing. It's like too fast, too soon, and wear your heart on your sleeve. And that's when you teach a person how to be treated, no matter what. Now this is what the relationship's like. He doesn't think that there's a problem because she taught him. And that's the thing, we have to be very mindful, not about the person's feelings when you get into a situation, but yours. It's again because you're going to be respectful, but you don't know who you're dealing with. And that's at the end of the story, when we go in and we're so naive and we think people are going to treat us the way that we would treat them. It's like, you don't know. And if the relationship goes too fast and you have no discernment because you're so close up to the picture, you have no other passion in your life, you just work, 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 work. Of course, you're not going to see it. And that's the problem. So I'll be doing healing. So I might not be on later, but I'll be on tomorrow, if not later. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Be true to you. You know how it goes. The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it.